don't spend too much time exploring like all the things. Kind of find out a little bit and just like rule it in or rule it out. Decide on a path to pursue and try to stick to that as much as possible for at least 90-day runs, right? So for at least that focus and at least 90 days. And even if it works out to be something that you decide that you don't want to continue to pursue, it's always a valuable experience. It's not for nothing. You probably made some great connections. You have some new wisdom and insight. You can maybe help somebody else out as a result of that. And if you get stuck, then we're there to help you. We're there to help you map it out, strategize, come up with solutions so you can implement AI either as an individual in your W-2 or, for your real estate investing team.
Hello and welcome to the Dream Start On podcast. I'm your host, Edgar the Connector, and today we have April Elias. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to learn a lot more about you. One of the things that stands out from what I've heard about you is Sub 2 in Portugal. This is international Sub 2.
Yeah. So we started investing in Portugal in 2022, and some of the opportunities have come to us kind of opportunistically, and we just went ahead and tried to navigate some creative deals because we had the education and the awareness that it was possible. And then we're like, hey, can we create this in Portugal as well? Because it was the creative deal that we have was an overwhelmed American who built a house, and we took over her loan subject to, and then there was a bunch of equity, and then we financed her equity owner finance. It was a hybrid deal. And we just gave the paperwork to our attorney in Portugal, and we're like, hey, is this possible? And she said, well, now it is. Some laws have changed and we can do this. We just don't say it the way that you say it in the US, but it's totally possible. So that's how that came about. And it was really exciting.
Amazing. Did you meet them here in the States or in Portugal?
In Portugal. So my brother actually came up with the opportunity, or the opportunity came across his plate because there were, we had a restaurant in Portugal, and one of the things before the restaurant was a food truck, and another American purchased the food truck. So that's how he met that person. And then a couple of years later, she came back. She said she built this house and she was just ready to go home. She was overwhelmed. And so that's how that conversation sparked. Yeah.
So your brother was in Portugal, or are you guys from there? How'd you end up there?
Yeah, we're not from Portugal, but Portugal is a great place. They call it the California of Europe because it's west coast of Europe. So it's Western Europe, and it has similar climate to California. And so where we're at is in the central of California, the center of Portugal, because we're right above Lisbon, just a little bit north of Lisbon, maybe about 25 minutes or so. But we have similar weather to like Central Coast California, maybe even Southern California. And so he moved there about 7 years ago because he's an investment banker. He's an interim CFO. And one of his clients, so one of the jobs he had, essentially, they wanted him to move to Europe. They checked out a few spots, and Portugal won because he was living on the coast in San Diego, and he's a surfer, and was like, there's no waves where you're targeting, and how about Portugal? So that's how Portugal came about. And then he acquired a house there just on Facebook Marketplace, or on the expat, not the marketplace, but the expat community site for Portugal.
Wow.
Yeah.
CFO, fractional, moving from California to wave riding in Portugal, close to Lisbon. That's so much to unpack there. My wife's been looking into Lisbon. She's like, we got to visit there. Yeah. She's been going through the ancestry to DNA, and I think she's like 50% that peninsula area. And then I think I'm about 30% in that area. So she's like, we need to go visit.
You definitely need to go visit. So, I mean, I would say depending on the experience that you want, depends on where in Lisbon that you want to go. Because it can be like any other major city. And if you don't like the buzz and the busyness of it, maybe just spend a day there. The real charm and culture, I think you can experience more in the neighborhoods and the areas around Lisbon, because Lisbon is very much, a big city. It does feel like Portugal, of course, but you can easily kind of get lost in the buzz of it if you're there the entire time.
Yeah, it's a good trip. You go pretty often. What do you suggest for somebody that does want to go to Lisbon from the United States? How much time to plan? I know the flight. I haven't looked into any of it. The flight and all. What is it? Not time zone, but jet lag. There you go.
Yeah, jet lag. So you are in Texas. So you're in Central Time. So they're 6 hours ahead of you. They're 5 hours ahead of me on East Coast. And so what I would do is I would at least 10 days. 10 days is the absolute minimum. You're definitely going to have a layover. And so I would recommend flying your layover out of any of the New York airports or Newark, New Jersey, because then that's direct. It's the same latitude as New York. And it's a really good experience to have like a US layover and then from the US straight into the country versus going, because a lot of times they'll try to take you into London or to maybe some other countries. It's just best to go straight to from New York to Portugal. Again, no less than 10 days. And I love going in the spring and in the fall. In the summer, it's just a little too busy. And not that you can't get in and do things, but it's just easier to get around. They drive on the same side of the road that we do. So rent a car. That's not a problem. And just like rates and everything are in general more cheaper, but it's not an expensive place to go either. So your euro, when you convert it from US dollars to euro, your euro will go a long way outside of like a Lisbon, because again, that's like any big city and it has the same cost associated with it. But it's, we joke all of the time that we go to Portugal and we save so much money. So if we eat out at restaurants, we're saving so much money than even if we ate at home here. It's even cheaper than that.
Amazing advice. I took notes. Yeah. Fantastic. So you have that one sub too, or do you have more? Are you looking to expand your investments in that place?
That's
area?
the only creative deal we have. And that's in Cascais, which is kind of about 30 minutes away. And that's like the Beverly Hills of Portugal, kind of like the Portugal Riviera. So if you have a French Riviera, you have a Portuguese Riviera. So it's kind of like that area. But where we're at, where my brother bought his house, there was also 3 lots of land right next to his house. And he said to the seller, who owns those lots of land? Because right now he has a beach ocean view. And then he also has a mountain view. He said, but if anybody built on that lot, then that would impact my view a bit. It wouldn't take it away, but it would impact it. And the seller happened to own them, but he wasn't ready to sell them at the time. And so about 3 years later, which took us into 2022, he said, okay, now I'm ready to sell them. So we partnered and we bought the 3 lots of land together. And so I'm building my house on the top lot. And then he's building a second house. And then we have a third lot that we were going to keep as an Airbnb. We were going to build on it and put an Airbnb there. But actually, we've put that one up for sale just recently this week. Not technically up for sale. We just kind of like put the word out there. If anybody wants to be our neighbor, and we did that in the community because we want to be selective about our neighbor. So we're like, if anybody wants to be our neighbor, come check this out. But then if it doesn't sell, or if it just doesn't seem right to sell it, we'll still keep it. It's not a big deal. We own the land free and clear. So it's not a big deal to just keep it.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
When's the expected completion date on your property?
So we got our license. We got our license to build last week. And so our GC is currently in Greece. So as soon as he gets back, we're expected to confirm all of the budget prices for all of the materials, because of course it's changed over all this time, us getting the licensing, the getting everything kind of parceled out and subdivided. That took an extraordinary amount of time. It took 3 years, which is insane, but it's Portugal. And it just, here we are. I'm just glad that we're here. And so now that we have the go ahead, it should take about 12 months to finish our build. And in that scenario, I'm just going to the bank and getting a construction loan. And then my land is essentially the down payment. And the rates are a little bit more favorable in Portugal, but just like you would here, get a construction loan.
Wow. I'm so happy for you for that. That's amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah.
I look forward to you getting that lock in and being able to walk in that door and be like, finally, and just enjoy that view. That there's just, I don't know where to start with that. So your funding in Portugal, do you have to be I mean, how does that work? Because in the States, you have to be here for a little bit or have some kind of, stabilization, some foundation in the States. Do you have to have anything like that where you're at in Lisbon?
Well, I did have to
Or
apply for
Portugal?
in Portugal, yeah. So I did have to apply for my NIF, which is essentially my tax ID or like your social security number type of thing. So I did have to apply and get that. I got that in like 2018, 2019. And that allowed me to open up a bank account. I just had to put at least 5,000 euros in a bank account because that's the minimum balance that you have to have as a foreigner, at least at Millennium Bank. And then that's pretty much all I had to do. But my brother has pursued the residency or actually the citizenship path. And so he's at the end of that. So he's just waiting to get the final stamp on his citizenship, but he's qualified for everything. He's passed his Portuguese test because you have to prove that you can speak Portuguese to a certain level before they would grant that. And so he's done all that. And so having him there and having him next door is a huge advantage for a lot of reasons. He can get stuff done. He can go to the city hall. He can, help with contractors and all that kind of stuff. So it's a unique situation to where I have somebody already teed up with boots on the ground because he essentially rebuilt his house. It was a total almost tear down with the exception of like a wall and maybe the footprint. And then he rebuilt it. So we're using the same contractor, had a really good experience. He actually lives down the street. We could walk to his house essentially, but we have all the trades, all of the professions, the attorney, the architect, the engineer, all of that all lined up. And so it'll be hopefully smooth sailing from here.
That's brilliant. Having that contact too is going to help you out so much. It has helped you out so much.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good brother that he decided to go over there and he's been successful at doing it and he's open to helping you out.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
Yeah.
So with that, are you doing anything else investing, like bringing investors from the States to invest with you in that area at all?
Yeah. So we've explored that and we set up a workshop experience that's kind of like a scouting trip. And so we're going to do it in 2025, but I didn't have my license to build on our property yet. So I was like, well, let's just post that, just push that a little bit into the future to 2026. And again, it's either going to be in the spring or in the fall. And that way people can actually see our build. They can see stuff in motion. They can, see what Portugal feels like, decide if it's a place that they'd like to invest in or not. They can qualify Portugal for themselves, essentially. And then I also have a friend she's an American and she actually has a business structure where they invest together as Americans so it's a co-living, co-working kind of like wellness space in my same town, which is really cool. So she's gone through all that process. So I would probably just mirror what she's done if there were other opportunities that we came across in Portugal that might be interesting for people to invest in or explore. But I'm sensitive to asking people to invest until, I've clearly hit some milestones myself, like me getting the license. So we were thinking, that third lot, we would either sell it or we would JV with someone. And so now that we're already past that point and it's just a matter of brand new construction, which is easy, much easier than we went through, then I'm confident with like having a JV on something that we already own, right? So moving forward, because Portugal is so complicated and they are insulted when you try to get a survey conducted before you buy anything, which to me is just like insane. They have no escrow, but you can recreate. I know it's crazy. You can recreate some of the instruments that we use here. You can recreate them there. They exist. They just don't use them the way that we do, but we can move some things around and use them in a similar way. So instead of escrow, attorneys have trust accounts. They use them for different reasons, but we can say, hey, we'd like to use the attorney trust account as the same way that we use like an escrow account here. And we can certainly make that happen. It's just a little bit extra documentation and making sure that the contracts read that they're the way that they're supposed to read so everyone's protected and comfortable. And that's pretty much it.
That's so incredible. I'm happy for you. Happy that you can have your workshop happening. So if somebody is interested in keeping an eye on your workshop, where would they find that at?
Yeah. So the best thing to do is just follow me on Instagram at aprilelias.com because I recently just wiped out all of my highlights because I'm going to repost more intentionally about the particular subject and pin the story and the info and the resources. And actually that's my current social media campaign. So I'll be putting, up stuff all about Portugal where people can just simply click through and just look at the stories that have been pinned under the Portugal subject. And then the same thing for all of our AI and AI workshops, and then also the creative deals that we do here in the US.
I love it. So now that you mentioned AI and you are one of the AI, ambassadors for Sub 2 and Owners Club, let's talk about that a little bit. So what is your day-to-day right now with your AI? I know you have your other workshop, the AI Momentum Lab. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. So we have the honor and the privilege of delivering AI semesters actually right now. So it's me, Heather Grizzard, and Will Castillo. We are delivering that as a group to all communities, meaning Sub 2, Top Tier, and Gator. And then we also lead the AI committee within Owners Club. And then in addition to that, Heather and I have a workshop offering. And our next one, we have a virtual workshop that's happening October 22nd that people can just tune in from anywhere. And then we have a 2-day in-person in San Diego that immediate following weekend. So I think it's like the 24th and the 25th, whatever that Friday and Saturday is. So we have that going on as well. And we do that about once a quarter, and we travel across the entire United States to different places that kind of ask for it and have the demand. So we go there, and it's really just teaching people how to get started with AI. And so it can be really exciting or it can be overwhelming. And we keep the workshops kind of smaller because we'll teach and then we'll help you do, you bring your laptop and we help you build whatever it is. And then if you get stuck, then we're there to help you. We're there to help you map it out, strategize, come up with solutions so you can implement AI either as an individual in your W-2 or, for your real estate investing team.
Shout out to Heather. Shout out to Will. They've both been guests on the podcast.
They're
wonderful
amazing.
People.
Yeah.
This is your second workshop. Is that the in-person workshop you're going to do in October?
It's our third.
Okay.
Yeah. Our first one was in Philly. And Johnny Mack helped coordinate that with Colin Inners. So they were super helpful. And we had all Owners Club attendees. Oh, well, one person wasn't at Owners Club, but it was great to see all Owners Club pretty much come out. No, I'm sorry. 2 were not Owners Club. But then in Atlanta, Abraham Gray was gracious enough to say, you can have it at my office. So we got to have it at his office. And that was all Owners Club participants. We had somebody drive 6 hours just to show up to it. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. That was a huge compliment to us. And then Abraham Gray, of course, being the amazing, he's just this amazing entrepreneur. He's so smart and he has so many great strategies. He gave us a bonus talk at the hour just because he was walking by, something popped up. And we were like, that was a huge, huge bonus in that workshop. It's because he dropped so much gold. And then we have San Diego, where Sarah Picha, I think I'm pronouncing her.
Yeah, Sarah Picha. Yeah.
I'm really friends with her, and I'm always like, I butcher your last name. I'm sorry.
It's the way it looks it sounds like Picha, but the only reason is because she told me Picha like Pikachu. Oh, okay.
Picha, you're right. Man, I'm sorry, Sarah, but she's amazing. And so that's the reason that we're going to San Diego is to, deliver a workshop there close to her. But she did travel to Atlanta to come to our Atlanta one, which I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah, talking about Owners Club, that's for people that don't know, it's a higher level, kind of like of a mastermind with Pace Morby. He is also the community leader, the inspiration for Subject 2, the Sub 2 group that Abraham Gray is also a part of, and he's business partners with Pace Morby. And the community is just great. There's such a go-giver community, and it's wonderful the way Pace has pushed everybody and encouraged everybody to be go-givers, and that he created the community for go-giving, and that we can help out so many people that way, help each other out, and grow so much faster by being go-givers.
Yeah, absolutely. And so not only does he he also shows us the way and gives us ideas and says, hey, go implement this. It's not just it's not just 10,000 foot view. I feel like we actually get resources and connections and, strategies that we can realistically implement, which is a differentiator in my opinion, because being able to actually implement it is one of the harder pieces.
Oh yeah, for sure. And there's so many things and options and opportunities. It's hard to stay focused on on a couple and not spread yourself thin.
Yeah.
What do you think is your secret to be able to stay focused with your AI and the other things that you're doing? I know you're also a headhunter. We'll get into that.
Yeah, I am. So it is a bit hard, and it's hard for people who like can spot opportunity and want to go for it, because you're like, that's great. That's great. That's great. That's great. I want to do all of these things. But in reality, if you don't focus on if your focus is too diffused, you're not accomplishing anything. And sometimes people just have to go through that, because when they go through that for a little bit and they just see a little bit of everything and they try a little bit of everything, it actually is an exercise to help them qualify their path, in my opinion. My only recommendation in that area is don't spend too much time exploring like all the things, like kind of find out a little bit and just like rule it in or rule it out. Decide on a path to pursue and try to stick to that as much as possible for at least 90-day runs, right? So for at least that focus and at least 90 days. And even if it works out to be something that you decide that you don't want to continue to pursue, it's always a valuable experience. It's not for nothing. You probably made some great connections. You have some new wisdom and insight. You can maybe help somebody else out as a result of that. But then you're in a stronger and a more confident position to pivot. And then I feel like that is part of the process of gaining the clarity, because a lot of people that come into the community, they're like, well, I'm coming in because I'd like to replace my W-2. I'd like to do something else completely. Real estate seems cool. Or I've been in real estate and I want to expand my reach and then just kind of expand my skill sets and, just develop more business and more relationships. And so either case and either situation, you do feel like there's just so much that you could take advantage of and benefit from. But I did experience a little bit of the shiny object, a little bit of the FOMO, like I don't want to miss this and I don't want to miss that. I know I would kill it if I did this. But then I ultimately realized that I needed to stay focused. And so one of the things that I've done is, and when I meet with people and we're talking about their AI strategy or their AI optimization, and I do this with my recruiting teams, I do this with my real estate team and I do this with the one-on-one clients that we have, and even in the group settings, I'm like, well, because everybody's like, I want to land gator. I want to get multifamily. I want to buy RV parks. And I also want to do co-living. And I want to, all the things. And my thing is pick one or they all die. If you had to just pick one or they all die, what's the one? And they have such a hard time with that. And so then what I'll say to people is like, let's pin this until you figure out or something rises to the top as your one. And that does a few things. So it gives people clarity, but then it lets them off the hook on the 5 other things. So they don't have the lingering stress. And I'm not saying you can't do those things. I'm just saying pick the one thing and pin the rest, because those 4 other things are killing your one thing. And so, that's probably the biggest piece of advice I would give somebody who's like feeling like they need to do all the things. And the Avatar series is really great to gain clarity on kind of like the avatar, like who does what and what types of personalities or traits generally gravitate towards what type of avatars. But the other thing that happens in that is people will have a little bit of identity crisis, because they're like, oh, I see myself as a visionary. Oh, I'm also an integrator. Oh, I'm also, all of these things. And it's like, well, that's great to know and have awareness around that. But again, try to get it down as, as refined as possible as your top. Like you might be a hybrid of things, which is great, but what's your dominant avatar? Like your dominant avatar. So that too.
Yeah, thank you for that advice. That's so profound. I love that. Pick one or they all die.
Yeah. Yeah.
I need to pick one. I think that's one thing is I've been trying to figure out what it is that I want to focus on. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's maybe just growing up, I've had to adapt so many times that I've always been, this and that. I get hired somewhere to say, hey, what position do you want? Well, you put me where you need to be, where you need me. I'm going to go do what you need me to do, and I'm going to excel at it. And I have. And I haven't been able to focus on one thing. Like I have sober living properties now too. I have Airbnb. That one I use all those funds to pay for my mom's life for her expenses, for her living. I was doing Turo for a bit. I do Gator lending. I'm a W-2. I do connections, the podcast. The podcast is one of the things I've been able to stay super consistent with since Halloween last year. I haven't missed an episode. Every week I've released one.
That's great. That's great. That's awesome. You're killing it. I love it.
Thank you. But then I'm wholesaling as well. I do some too. And then things I know I haven't touched multifamily because I don't want to add more to my plate. Same thing with RVs. I get bird dogs that send me some, but I'll send them to another person that's doing RVs to see if they can do anything with it. But I love that. I'm gonna pin that on my whiteboard. Pick one or they all die.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I mean, there is value in, if opportunities come to you and you have the capacity and the resources to do it, it doesn't mean that you can't do more than one thing. Because similarly, I wholesale, but I wholesale opportunistically, meaning I don't have a wholesale operation. If somebody brings me a deal and it's just not for me, if it doesn't meet my fix and flip buy box, then I just wholesale it, right? But I'm not like a wholesaler, but I do wholesale deals. We do fix and flip. That's probably, I'd say the dominant category for us is fix and flip in the US. But I don't want to do that forever either because, that's very transactional. It's fun. It's fun to design. It's fun to negotiate the deal. And then also the buy and hold. I did not want to be a landlord, and under any circumstances, I did not want to be any type of landlord. But opportunistically, a deal was brought to me that was a triplex. I said, well, the only way I do it is if you do seller finance. And they're like, okay. So I'm like, now here we are, which is great though. But it's nice because it wasn't like a push or a force. It was, okay, we have the resources and the capacity to bring this into the fold right now. And not everything else is going to be sacrificed because it's either done and sold or it's wholesaled or it's, in a certain stage to where it's stable. So, there are exceptions to the rule, but it's more about understanding your capacity and understanding not only capacity as far as volume, but capacity as far as like skill sets. Do I have the ability actually to do this? And so when those things align, I feel like you can do a few different things. And you sound like an amazing utility player. Just like put me in where you need me. Whatever the weakest link is, I'll go in there and I'll kill it. And it's going to excel. And I think that's amazing. And that's a super valuable skill set. And that's probably what's lent to you being able to do all these different strategies.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's good.
I love it. Okay. So you are based, you said East Coast. Where are you based out of?
Delaware. So
Delaware. Okay.
Yeah. Some people say Northeast. Some people say it's the DMV area. So I get to go to both leadership meetings, which is cool. Because of that, I'm like right on the cusp. But yeah, so I'm about to put it in perspective for people who aren't familiar with Delaware, because some people in the United States have said, what state is that in? And I'm like, well, it was the first state. And we're about 2 hours south of New York City. I can be in New York City in 2 hours. And I am 45 minutes south of Philadelphia. So Philadelphia is my closest city, and I'm considered greater Philadelphia area.
Okay.
According to LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Yeah, it depends who was writing that code that day to say, this is where you belong.
Yes.
I bet you have beautiful falls out there.
We
All
do.
the color changes. Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
We do. I love it.
I think it's one of my wife's places that she wants to visit is Delaware, Baltimore area during the fall. And then Lisbon, she's been looking at that recently a lot. She's like, we have to go to Lisbon. So
well, you definitely need to hit me up on that, and I'll tell you where to go. You can even come stay at my house if you want. I have 2 guest bedrooms.
Oh, I love it. I'm taking you up on that. That's
recorded.
You guys see that?
Yes. Let's go. Yeah. And if you, depending on when you come, you might even be able to, if you want to, see one of our projects.
Oh, I'd love to. That'd be fantastic. Yeah. Try to let other people deal with it. And I can say, look, I know people doing that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. Fantastic. So fix and flip, is that's your main thing right now in the Delaware area?
So because Delaware is so small, we do Delaware, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Maryland. So Pace is a partner on my Maryland LLC. And we did a fix and flip together in Maryland. That was the first like really big one. And it was a luxury log cabin. And it ended up being a triple digit flip that we got done on budget, on time. And log cabins are not unicorns around here. There are log cabins, but it's really risky to do a log cabin. I mean, and I didn't even think about, because it was a well-maintained log cabin. So I didn't think of all of the possibilities or issues. And when we had a log cabin expert come in, he's like, wow, you guys are so lucky. There's hardly any wood damage. This is a 40-year-old log cabin. He goes, they maintained it really well. But I was just like, oh my gosh, thank God, because there's so much wood and it's on the water, and water and wood attract termites. So it's like, oh my gosh. So it was fun. It was stressful, but it was fun.
Oh, at the end it paid off. I remember reading a little bit about that. Congratulations on that. How'd you end up getting that lead?
Yeah, so that's what, so we were at Squat Up. We didn't get it at Squat Up. It actually is a lead from my mother-in-law, but I closed it at Squat Up. So it was a lead from my mother-in-law. Her neighbor, of course they play pickleball, because I think everybody plays pickleball now. So they're playing pickleball, and one of the other couples, the husband had all these cuts and bruises and stuff all over his arms. And she's like, oh my goodness, like what happened? And so his mother had passed away, and he had been clearing a lot of like the dead trees. So it was on 3 acres, and clearing a lot of the dead trees, doing just a lot of the landscape work. And he was getting beat up from all the branches. And so he's like, I'm just over this. I'm done. He has 2 siblings. And I was like, oh man, 3 heirs. That's going to be a little bit difficult to maybe get agreement. And so we dealt with two of the heirs. The other one was out of town. They were amazing people, lovely people. None of them wanted to keep the house for themselves, because they're all like doing their own thing. And so we were able to arrive at a number that everybody accepted. And so the ARV on it was 7 something. And we got it under contract for 300. So we got it under contract for 300, put 160 into it. Bo underwrote the deal. Jamil underwrote the deal. And they both underwrote it at the same number as 700 to be conservative. And so we listed it over 700, and then we sold it 7 days on market at 717 cash offer. And it was like right before Thanksgiving. I was like, this is a miracle.
That's an amazing story. And shout out to Jamil and Bo, some rock star underwriters there.
Yes.
Shout out to you to get to be able to partner up with them. So there's Pace, of course, the Sub-2 community. How long have you been in the Sub-2 community now?
So since 2023, actually, no. It is 2023, but I joined Gator first because I didn't know about Sub-2, and I never joined a real estate investing community prior. And I didn't really have any real estate experience, but I have a lot of acquisition experience, right? Just people acquisition, business acquisition. I have a lot of that acquisition experience. So I just take those same strategies and apply it to sellers and agents, essentially. And so, and it's, so Gator. And then I was like, what's all this Sub-2 stuff? And then I was like, oh, of course I have to be in there. So then I got into Sub-2, and then I got into top tier TC, but not for me to be a TC. I knew that was not me. That was not my avatar, but it is my daughter-in-law's. So I joined Gator in partnership with my husband. I joined Sub-2 in partnership with my brother, who's a fractional CFO. I wanted to get him in there to do like consume all this zero down stuff for us. And then my daughter-in-law to do the top tier TC. And she's actually a TC on Lily's team. So that's cool.
Wow, that's fantastic. Getting the family all into it. Daughter-in-law, daughter-in-law?
Daughter-in-law. Yeah. And then 2 of my sons. And then my daughter is a PML. So she's like a Gator. And then my 2 youngest sons, they one of them does agent outreach. And he does it pretty frequently with Jake Day in Owners Club. They became buddies a couple of years ago. And I think at community camp is when they all synced up, and Jerry Norton introduced my boys to Johnny, and they're all like buddies, and they call agents together on Zooms, and I think it's so cute.
I think I remember reading about that as well. They met at a community camp, and they partnered up and started doing, just getting their business going to wholesaling, right?
And getting their reps in, right? They're just getting their reps in. They're helping each other out, making fun of each other, of course, and having fun doing it.
Yeah, I love it. For those people that are watching, just surround yourself with the people that are doing the things that you want to do. Mm-hmm. And even if it's not something you're sure you want to do, find people that are successful, that have successful people in their family, hang around them and see when you're around them, just listening to it, that you might be able to, something might vibe with you for you to do.
Yeah, that's great advice. I totally agree with that. That's the best thing to do.
Oh, yeah. So your W-2, are you still doing that?
Yeah, I am. I actually love what I do. And I pivoted into real estate, and actually AI is what made me pivot into real estate, funny enough. So I work for a private equity-backed management consulting firm, and we do a lot of specialty consulting. Some of it is around data and technology. I've always been a really tech-forward, professional. And so when OpenAI unleashed ChatGPT on us 3 years ago, I was one of the first people in the playground saying, how can I implement this? How can I use this? All this, I just dove right in. And so as a result of that, I lead the project for AI strategy and optimization within our talent acquisition team. And that's been really fun because it helps me stay up to speed. And I'm also a hands-on builder. So I don't learn to build because I want to build stuff for people. Like, don't say, I need this workflow AI to build it for me. It's more so I understand what's technically feasible and what we can, build, right? So I will build stuff, and then I use it and I figure out what works and what doesn't work. And then it helps me be a really good advisor. But I do talent acquisition. I helped build out our AI machine learning and data science team. I hire AI architects, AI engineers. So I get to interview people who are out in that space. They're also applying for jobs and interviewing. And you have to hire this talent in a different way than you would hire any other talent. And the reason being is because you're often hiring for experience that doesn't exist yet. And so that's kind of like fun and exciting to figure out how to identify the best talent that's going to be the most innovative, think outside of the box, have the technical capacity, and also be a team player, because we look for people who, have that sense of like you have each other's back, because that's the most successful. And so that's been really fun to do because it's on the forefront of a lot of things. And even though AI is moving so fast, like I feel like it's nearly impossible to stay up to speed. And then I talk to people and I'm like, oh, maybe I am up to speed. But every single day, I'm learning something new in AI. It just does not stop for me 7 days a week.
Like most entrepreneurs, I don't sleep enough. So the hours that I do sleep need to be of better quality. The 8 Sleep Pod, it has been a game changer for me. Perfect temperature all night, less snoring, and I actually wake up refreshed. And my wife does as well, which is a huge plus. Happy wife, happy life. You can try it through my affiliate link below. Now we go back to the episode. Yeah, what is your favorite AI tool at the moment?
Okay, so I go between a few different. And whenever somebody asks me this, I'm like, it depends. It depends on what you're using it for. General AI use, I still really like ChatGPT for everyday stuff. And it's because in ChatGPT, you can now do things like, of course, you've had your custom GPTs, which you could do for a while, but they've evolved to be even better. And then now you have projects, which projects have been around for a while too. But the thing that they've changed in projects is if you're someone who's using ChatGPT, you'll notice that it starts to have a memory of how you use it, even if it's across different chats. And even if you had projects before, it would still kind of pull memories from other things outside of the project. Well, now you have a way to turn that off. And so when you create a project and you can only do it at the very, very, very beginning, you can decide to say, hey, I don't want you to pull from any other memories, only use this stuff that I put in the project. So that has a huge amount of value, especially if you're A/B testing strategies, or, I might not want my Alex Hormozi money model to get all mixed up with, my Pace Morby thing, right? I might not want that to happen for whatever reason. But then you have the ability to delete memories from the whole experience. You have the ability to, customize it globally. So there's just all these things that you can do and get a lot done within one tool. It would be that or Gemini. Google's really like, it's hard because I love Notebook LM. I love Nano Banana, which is their image generator. I love VO3. That's why I say it depends. But ultimately, they all have this agentic experience. So it's essentially these agents that come in and you can hook it into just about anything now. You can connect it to anything. So it's really just like a Coke or Pepsi in a lot of ways. Do you like Coke or do you like Pepsi?
Yeah, definitely. I've been, I learned about Manus from Pace and then you guys as well, mentioning it, using your code for that. I've used them quite a bit. I actually use them in Texas. We're deregulated for our power company.
Oh, okay.
So we have their rates are all over the place, and depending if you do so much this month, your rate can completely change. So I dropped in all the electric fax label for like 10 different ones. I go, hey, this is my usage for these months because I have 4 properties that I have to worry about the bills. So I threw it in there. I go, hey, this is my usage. Which one should I go with? It's like, oh, you go with this one. And I had to fine tune and say, no, this one rate changes if I could go above 1,000 kilowatts. And then it shoots up a lot more if I go between 2,000 kilowatts. So I noticed that, and it was funny. One of the things it said is, you're right, the deception that these people, this is from AI, that they put in is super difficult for just your average person to understand.
Yeah.
But I was able to use that. I ended up going with 3 different energy companies for the different usages because one of the properties is really low, 2 of them in the mid, and then one's really high.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's great to use that for that. And then the agents is something I want to get more into where it can like take over your computer and do some things.
Yeah, that's a smart way to use it for the energy usage and making that decision. And so Manus is also really great. And Manus has, Manus can pull from different models. So Manus can pull from OpenAI, it can pull from, ChatGPT 5, it can pull from Claude. They're all really great tools. It just depends on what you're doing and how you like the experience in it. You essentially can accomplish just about the same thing in every single one. But Manus is cool too. And I feel like they really led the way with the agentic experience all in one spot. And they did a good job with it because it's like 29 different tools, essentially, probably even more now, but it pulls from a lot of different things. And you might have noticed that you used a lot of credits in the beginning if you're going back and forth, but it's gotten better with the efficiency of the use of credits by toggling between like agent and chat, essentially.
Yeah, definitely. It's cool too. I think when I did that, it said, do you want me to create a web page for you? I was like, really?
Yeah. Sure.
So I like those follow-up answers. And then like, oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, it's really good that way.
Okay. Yeah. So you're doing amazing things at your W-2. How long have you been a recruiter, headhunter?
Yeah. So I have been a headhunter for over 20 years. So I'm dating myself. I started out in scientific engineering and IT, always kind of stayed in that space. I did a lot of C-level executive search, Fortune 500, even a couple Fortune 50 companies. I've done executive search. And then what I do now is I essentially hire experts in super niche industries that do consulting on cool things like, company strategy and performance, or even construction disputes and advisory, which is really cool. We get into hundreds of millions, multi-billion-dollar projects to where we advise in between the owners and the GCs if things go off the rails. We have forensic architects, forensic engineers. It's just kind of really cool, the types of professionals that I get to work with, because I'm talking to somebody super smart every day in like a different capacity. And so I'm learning every day. And I love that piece.
That sounds fantastic. Sounds like you have interesting days. I doubt you have a boring day here and there.
No. And it's fun to, I've always found it really fun to offer people jobs, right? To offer people a better opportunity, or whether it be a bump in pay or better big picture experience. I never ask people to take a step back, of course, but it's, I've always had a lot of fun doing that and negotiating the best possible package for someone, because it's a big decision.
When you do recruiting, is it all for one company or do you go for different companies?
Yeah. So I used to have my own agency. So I would have clients, which would be a bunch of different companies. So I worked for an agency. I had my own agency and I did that. I have about 16 probably about 16 years of experience in agency. And then one of my clients hired me on full time. They were a firm of 45,000 consultants. So they hired me on full time. So I brought agency types of methodologies and strategies to corporate recruiting. And then I was recruited into the role that I'm in now. So now I'm like, I recruit consultants for our company. So I recruit AI engineers for us, but for us to go out and sell to clients, right? So they come in, and if you think of like a McKinsey or a PwC or like any type of management consulting firm, that's the type of talent that we have, because we're able to attract a lot of talent from those top tier big four consulting firm places, because we're a lot smaller and we can be a bit more nimble, and people can see their work come to life a little bit more closely, and there's no silos. So that's what I like about it. It's cool because it's collaborative.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I'm actually a planning consultant for industrial construction.
Oh, nice.
I work for a company called ConstructX. I'm currently working with Oxy. They're building a direct air carbon capture in Odessa, Texas.
Oh, wow.
So we're consulting them we do what's called advanced workplace planning or work packaging to be able to set their plan in order where the different disciplines are going in the correct order. Kind of like you do in a house construction. You don't put the floors in, you don't paint before you put your drywall in, right?
Yeah.
Things like that. So that's what we're doing. But that's cool. I need to see if I can, find that aspect of yours when we're looking for new people, because we've been acquired by another company and they look like they may be expanding and needing more people. So you may have people that follow into that. It's a lot of oil and gas mainly, but we are starting to get into more data centers as well because of all the AI boom.
Yeah. So the data centers, that is a huge boom. Actually, we just had a call about that earlier today. The data centers being just a huge boom, and it being really hard to find qualified electricians to wire these data centers. And what's interesting about that is my oldest son is actually working towards ownership in a commercial like electrical company, so I was like, well, that's perfect timing. So yeah, we probably can collaborate on this, on other stuff too. So that's awesome.
Oh yeah, I love it. That's one of the reasons I do this podcast, to learn all the different ways.
You're the connector.
Thank you, April. So in the group, the communities with PACE, we have what's the Mount Everest. What is your Mount Everest?
Yeah, and of course, it's changed many, many times. Just as I grow and evolve, and I'm aware of what people need and what they could, perhaps benefit from. But what I would love to do is help enough people in their business with AI to not get felt like they've been left behind by AI, and, to keep up with their competition. And, because it is overwhelming and there's a lot to do, and people think that I could just AI everything. And actually, the truth is, it's your system. It's really just figuring out your system and then figuring out what can I automate in a meaningful, low risk, high return way. And then once that is stable, where can I layer in AI to have the best impact? Because sometimes people do it way out of order. Everything breaks and they're trying to scale chaos. So it's more about helping businesses gain that clarity so they can gain that leverage and just stay relevant and continue to thrive, leveraging the technology that is coming no matter what no matter what anybody says. It's here and it's full speed ahead. I feel like it's definitely neck break speed, but everybody, there's still a lot of people in the boat of they haven't even touched ChatGPT. They haven't even looked at it. But it's in everyone's awareness. And I'm just trying to help, disarm that, help remove the fear, and still make them feel like they've had progress.
That's a great cause, helping business owners move along with AI, because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. I mean, before I learned about business credit, that you can get business credit and not affect your personal credit, I was like, well, okay, I didn't know that. But, when you learn something, somebody teaches you, and you can just move along so much faster by learning that one little aspect of something.
For sure. And it's like a huge game changer. It's like and then you can make a big pivot. So even for the people who they come into the, real estate investing community and they're like, just like me, like I'm working a W-2, and some people might like their W-2, but they just want to diversify for whatever reason. I saw AI coming and I was like, I know I'm going to be the user of the AI, but I don't know how it's going to impact me long term. I need to learn something that's a little bit more of a hard asset. I need to learn real estate. So that's how AI got me into real estate essentially. And so it's just like, one of those things to where even if you're just a person, you can create so much leverage and get a lot of your time back instead of, because there's the 9 to 5 and then there's the 6 to 10 that most people work. That 6 to 10, instead of that 6 to 10 being like, I have to do that 6 to 10 all of the time, buy enough of your time back so you still have your family time. You're not burnout. You're not, because those little like hours or two that over time compound in and getting your time back make a meaningful difference, and you're still getting traction. So, I just feel like there's a way to have it be a little more harmonious. Not necessarily balanced. I don't know that balance exactly exists, but there maybe could be some more harmony.
Yeah, a little more harmony, because balance is depending on the person, what they want to do and what they're going to focus on.
Yeah.
And then I like what you said earlier about not scaling chaos.
Yes.
Yes. I guess for your average person out there that hasn't used AI, what is 1 or 2 or 3 things that you think that may be something they should jump into that you think they'll see a quick benefit by jumping in there and using it, besides asking it, oh, what's the weather in this place?
Yeah, that's a great question. And a lot of people are asking that question. So what I would do is I would put ChatGPT on my phone as an app. That's the very first thing that I would do. And of course, you could put it you could use the free version. You will get limited uses, but you'll see some of the abilities. You'll get to experience the benefits. So use it in its free version, and you can use the agent mode, and you could, just simply in the chat, you can just hit the buttons and see what they all are and then start to use them. One of my favorite use cases is somebody sends me a deal. So I had a bird dog send me a deal. Actually, the deal that we bought in Pittman, New Jersey, the one that we're in right now, sent me a deal. I screenshot the deal. Because you can put images from your camera roll right into ChatGPT. I put it in there and I said, this is the address. Like, give me some market data. Give me, the comps, the last 3 sales. Now, I wouldn't make any final financial decisions doing this, but at least it saved me some time and it pulled up some resources. And I just had to consider the source of the resources. Like, did it accurately pull things that sold in the last 3 months? Like, is that accurate? And is it close enough? And it happened to be, it does sometimes make mistakes. So just be aware of that. You have to proofread it. But, and then I was like, okay, that's helpful. And then I started asking just ChatGPT to craft my response back and forth to the bird dog. And I do the same thing with the agents. So an agent will send something and I just copy and paste it. And I'm like, I need to respond to this. This is my strategy. I'm trying to communicate to influence. Like I'll say certain things that I'm trying to do, or I'll just, before there was Pace GPT, I literally trained my AI on Pace, and specifically on the No One Left Behind challenge, because he dropped so much gold in those calls. And I just said, what would Pace do? What would Pace offer? And then I just swiped it and I just made it my own in my own voice, which just takes a few seconds, but it's genius because it's clear, it's concise, and it organizes information in a way that, you're essentially the person giving it input. And so you're contributing to it. And what you get back is just like a cleaned up version, like a proofread version of your, inspiration or thought or whatever you're trying to accomplish. So I would just do it like that, or I would talk to it. The other thing is just talk to it. You hit the button and you can talk to it back and forth. And you can say, while you're driving down the road, it could be whatever, recipes, places, travel itinerary, find me the cheapest thing on Amazon for this, whatever, like literally anything.
That's amazing advice. Hey, give us a thumb up. She's dropping some wonderful knowledge there. Drop a comment if you're using it, if you're not using it. And this is great information that you just dropped for people that are new to get into real estate. If they're looking at a deal, they drop it in there and say, hey, help me with this. And it's going to give you answers and output that you didn't think of before. As we mentioned earlier, you don't know what you don't know. That will help open your eyes to see what you should be looking at, what AI has been trained on to look at, and open up your, point of view to be able to see the deal better and, experience it more. Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. And that's a good point, because often it'll come back and say, would you like me to do XYZ, to your point earlier? Or the other thing that I also like to do is I like to say, what am I not thinking about that I should be? And then it just helps you.
Yeah. If you're not using it, you're missing out.
Yeah.
Jump in there, ChatGPT on your phone is free. And if you run out of space using it, you'll get refreshed the next day. And then if you keep on doing it, then you need to pay for it.
Yeah.
We don't have affiliate links for it.
No, not at all.
That'd be great if we did.
Yeah, exactly.
Pace GPT, that's also the Delphi he's been using to clone himself. That's pretty cool. But I feel like every time I ask him something, it feels like he's yelling at me, Edgar.
That's so funny.
Okay, so you're doing fix and flips now. How are you managing that part of your business?
So I'm actually not. And so what I do, and this might be helpful for some people too, that have a lot of things going on, and I have figured out who on my team can do what. So my son does the outbound to the sellers and the agents. And then my husband does all the intake on the referrals that come to us, because we do get a good amount of referrals and bird dogs. They get it to a point to where they do a little bit of underwriting. They don't spend a ton of time underwriting, but they do a little bit of underwriting. They'll go walk the property, whatever. If they feel it's a deal, they'll send a LOI out, try to get it under contract. They're usually successful at that. But if they need to escalate it to any point, if the deal needs to get really creative, or if we need to really find the bunnies and we need to really come in and have an impact in a different way, because it's a difficult problem to solve, then it gets escalated to me. And so that's when I come in and I just get on the phone with the agent and the seller, or just the seller. And I just listen to understand what's happening. And then just come up with whatever might be mutually beneficial and solve as many problems as possible for that seller. And then from there, it's out of my hands. And then my husband they'll go through all the inspections, and he'll do the renovation budget, and he'll do all of those things. And I just show up at the settlement table, sign papers. And the last couple houses I haven't even seen until after we acquired them, meaning in person. So then when all of the structural stuff is done, right now we're doing floor joists and things like that. I don't need to be right there for that. But when it comes to make design choices, colors, finishes, stuff like that, I come in and I do all that. I don't even let them pick a cabinet pull. But I just have fun doing that. And so I come in on that part, and then I come back in to help solve any problems that might pop up. And then I do the staging myself, and I'll work with the agent to get it listed. And that's pretty much it. Or we'll try to have do some pre-marketing. So maybe we'll have an open house before we commit to an agent, or it just kind of really depends. But we pre-market along the way to try to identify a buyer. But we don't waste any time. I don't spend, as soon as it's done, if I don't have it pre-sold, it's right there with the agent ASAP. And then, and then that's how it works. But in our current project, because there is some additional project management that needs to happen that my husband needs support with, because he's out busy doing the things. So what I've done is partnered with someone who is a really strong project manager, has not been in a fix and flip, but she's a strong project manager. She's in the the electrician space, the commercial big, huge company electrician space. So she's used to dealing with crews and vendors and supplies and materials. So all of that's transferable. And what I did was, she recently joined Sub 2. Well, she's a top tier TC, and I happen to know her personally, but she also joined Sub 2. And I was like, hey, you have all these great attributes. You're looking to, because she's looking to learn and learn from us. And I'm like, well, here's an opportunity. You can get in, you can learn, you can be the project manager for all of the things that, that you're great at and that you like to do. Well, first of all, I qualified what she is capable of doing and what she enjoys doing. And I'm not going, my reason for doing that is because I want to align someone not only with their skill sets, but their interests. Because she could be good at doing it, but she might hate it. So I don't want to give her something that she hates doing, but she likes doing that. So I said, hey, well, how about, we agree on a price up front of what you think it would cost to manage this project. And then I just pay you at the end when it's sold. And that's what we're doing. And so that way she gets experience, she gets paid. I don't have to pay anybody in a project on top of all of the other like insurance and all the other things that I have to worry about. My holding costs, I don't have to worry about that. But I know there's enough room in the deal to pay her a meaningful amount because her contribution is huge for us, right? So it's killing like 5 birds with one stone. And you know what that means.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
That's a creative way to do it.
Yeah.
Being in the creative community opens up our minds and our, visions to see things in different ways. That's kind of the way I got into my sober living property. I got a creative deal and then creative partnership with the operators. And I love that what you said also is asking people to do things they like to do instead of forcing them to do something they don't, because when they like doing it, they're going to do it so much better, so much faster, and they'll do it for longer because they enjoy doing it.
Exactly. I learned my lesson with that with software developers. I would recruit them and I would say, oh, you've been doing this 15 years. This seems amazing. They're like, I actually hate coding. I'm done doing it. It sucked my soul. And I'm like, oh, well, then I'm not going to talk to you about a software engineering job then. So, yeah. And it's just a good way to, because when people will come to you, and you probably have experienced this, if you're doing a strategy that they're interested in learning, people will often volunteer to work as like an intern or in the Orbit program. And they'll say, I just want to work for free to learn. And I love when people do that because it shows that they're willing to be a go-giver and an action taker. But I'm always thinking of, okay, yeah, it's cool that you don't want to get paid and you just want the education. I'm instantly thinking, how am I going to pay you? Like, how am I going to pay you? Can I pay you a meaningful amount of money for you essentially donating your time? Yes, you're getting the education, but I'm always thinking of like, if you're cool with doing this work, then at the end of this project, when I sell it, I'm going to pay you. And, I've had people say, no, that's not necessary. And I'm like, yes, it is. I am paying you. So I will give, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like that's helped us like get some really good work done and people get compensated in return.
What a great human being there. You have the option, the opportunity to take advantage if somebody tells you there, but no, you say, I will use the resources that you're providing, but I'm going to make sure you're paid a meaningful wage, not just, something inexpensive. I love that. Such a great person there. How can people work with you?
So the best thing to do, the absolute best thing to do is to just DM me on Instagram. I have dealt with my messaging crisis by getting everyone to Instagram. Now I have other things set up, like if you email me and all that kind of stuff, but I feel like the easiest way for me to interact personally is just through that one platform. And, because, automations are cool, but you can tell when something's automated. So I don't want people to have that experience if they want to work with me. So I would say just message me directly on Instagram.
What would somebody reach out to you with? What is it that you need for somebody to work with you with? Leads, bird dogging, orbits?
Yeah. So anything that I'm working on that you're interested in learning, certainly reach out to me. So if it's anything about Portugal investing, if it's anything about AI in business, whether you're somebody who is looking to learn AI, or if you're somebody who is already well-versed in AI and you're looking for an opportunity to maybe contribute in some way and ways to sync up, because people are always coming to me with needs. So in a similar way that you connect, it's great to connect people who know how to do the thing that people want done, right? So I'm an educator as far as teaching people AI and teaching them how to build hands-on. So I see it more as like, I'm empowering you to use this tool to however you want to use it. And some people in that process are like, yeah, that's great. I've decided that I'm not the person that should do this. The education's great, but it helps me hire someone who is the right person. So I love to hear from the people who are doing the thing. And if they need to get matched up with more like business owners, and I'll just say, hey, you two should work together. And then also any type of, anything within an hour radius of Delaware. I usually buy single family homes. We do fix and flip. We like distressed. If I don't have to do anything major and pull like permits, I prefer that. I don't mind a deep rehab, but if I can avoid a permit pull, I will. That's usually ranks higher for me. And any type of seller finance, or sometimes people, they feel like they're close to having a deal like over the finish line. I've come in and I've helped people with closing strategies. I try my best to get back to everybody and either give them something to say, or if it's easier for me to just do, I've just been like, let's call them on three-way and see how we can get this done. So if I'm able to do that, I will certainly do that too.
April's such a go-giver there. I love it. You're wonderful. So people reach out to you in IGDM on so many different aspects of the businesses. And what is it that you need?
Actually, I'm always looking for capital partners, right? People that want to lend me money. So I have great references for people who have lent me money, like multiple six figures over and over. And I'm a really good borrower in that scenario. And so if people are like, I want to put stuff to work, I always make sure that everybody's completely covered in their position. Even if we had to like sell everything in the moment, everybody's covered. So that's the way I underwrite deals, or I don't do them. I just either give them to someone else or wholesale them if I can. If not, I just give it away. So somebody has a deal, right? But I'm very particular about the deals that we take on. And I'm really conservative with my like underwriting at ARV. So for instance, this Pittman house, we underwrote it at 315, even though comp suggested 350. I was like, I'm really just super cautious, but it appraised at 355, right? So that's pretty consistent with the deals that I will engage in. And so yeah, people who want to lend me money.
Do you have a minimum?
A minimum? No, I actually don't. It just depends on the position and the situation and how I acquired it. So like the house that I sold at our Delaware beaches, that I had a person come in second position that lent me the entry fee of $55,000. And the reason the entry fee was $55,000 is because the house was listed for $265, needed a deep rehab. The woman got it from her mother before her mother passed. So she was on the hook for the $700 a month mortgage. And so there was $37,000 left in the mortgage. And so what I said, and this was a seller that actually cried when we made an offer because we offered her $150 because that's what it needed to be at. It just did based on the renovations. And so, anyway, the seller was in first position. We paid off her $37,000 mortgage. She worked nights at Walmart and just, was raising her grandkids and was just in a really tough spot. This was before Christmas. And so I listened to all these things and I was like, oh, how can we help her? And then I was like, okay, so what if we take away that $700 payment? We pay your $37,000 mortgage. We give you $5,000 at closing on like December 18th or something right before Christmas. So no stress. I said, but then what I need you to do for the rest of the $110,000, which is your equity, I need you to seller finance that to me, 0 payments, 0 interest for 6 months. So I can focus on the flip and get it done quickly to get you your $110,000. So she agreed to that. And the ARV on it was like 340 or something like that. But it was a time of year. Again, it was like late in the year. I'm buying it in December. Like, I don't know. And so someone in sub 2 that I was on the No One Left Behind challenge with, I was the closer. He was like, I want to get in a deal. And I said, look, here's this deal. No pressure. If you like the numbers, because he was a real estate agent, so he knew how to comp and stuff. And I was like, if you like the numbers, go ahead and do it. Otherwise, I can self-fund it. Like, this is one I would self-fund. But he's like, no, he's like, I'd love to do that. And so the only thing that he wanted was he wanted interest payment every 3 months. And I was like, that's cool. That's fine. So we acquired it that way. And then my daughter funded the renovations. And then we sold it on time, on budget, and for what we underwrote it for. So, we sold it for $5,000 more than we underwrote it for. But Yeah.
Details.
So stuff like that.
Yeah, helping out people there. That's sad. Grandma taking care of her kids, and then you're able to give them, but a good ending, good Christmas for them, being able to give them $5,000 to help them out during the holidays. Amazing story there. If you want to work with people like April, Elias, you have the opportunity, reach out to her DM. If you have fun sitting around, you don't have to be a lender. You can start lending this way. This is a way to start, and she's going to walk you through it. She'll show you her history and that she's been able to do that, and you'll have paperwork, and just make sure you go through title company.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Everything goes through title. They get their lien position. They get everything. They get everything through the attorney. Yes.
Amazing. And then for people that are starting, that are stuck on the fence to get started in just businesses, you got so many things going on. It's amazing. You're an idol and inspiration to look at. What word of advice would you have for somebody?
I would say just start. I feel like a lot of people get in learn mode and they're just like devouring all the Zoom calls, and they are important, but only focus on the ones that you think you need in the moment, and just start talking to people and participating in the challenges, whatever challenge comes up, because you learn a lot and you get some momentum. And then you know, that team environment is always super helpful. So, just essentially like squatting up with people and getting in these challenges and making connections that way. And just don't get stuck in Zooms for 6 months. Yeah.
Yeah, because doing education, as Pace says, is education is to a point, but once you keep on doing it, it just becomes entertainment. So you have to take action with what you're learning. Exactly
right. And if you have a local meetup, get to a Sub2 meetup.
Definitely. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It's been great. Okay. So, hey, thank you, April Elias, for being on the show. Be sure to give us a like, subscribe. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Drop a comment, reach out to her if you want to get to pick her brain on AI, business, headhunting, if you want to learn how to hire more people for your company or to get started, people to work with, to invest in Portugal. I'm one step getting to Portugal because of this connection here. Talk to people, be in the rooms. You're going to get to so much more space. It's better to do it with other people than by yourself. Thank you so much, April.
Thank you so much, Edgar. This was so much fun. This is awesome.
I'm Edgar the Connector, signing out. I'll see you in the next episode.
Bye-bye.
Catch this next podcast where you can start your dreams and start to own your time the way these other guests have.